Good evening, everyone. It's 5:31. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 5:31. Just before we start all of the official business, I'm just going to take a moment to make a couple of comments, namely that this is the last meeting of this year, and that puts us halfway through the term. And like I was just saying, it's been whizzing by. So I guess that means we're all working hard and we don't even notice time flying by. But so we're halfway through, and it's also just before the holiday season. So I want to take one moment and say that I hope everyone has a safe and happy holiday time with friends and family. Lots of time to make memories and enjoy a little bit of downtime. And I'll wish you health and happiness for the coming year. And so just enjoy and be careful. So members of the public are invited to participate in the meeting of council by accessing the meeting, which is live streamed on our Middlesex Centre YouTube channel, or by contacting the municipal clerk to receive a registration link to join the meeting being held electronically. Members of the public may also attend the meeting in person at Ilderton Community Centre, located at 13168 Ilderton Road. There are no additions to the agenda this evening. I'll look to council. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none then, there are no delegations or presentations or petitions for this evening, so we have to adopt the minutes of our last two meetings. We have two, and the motion before us is that the minutes of council meetings held on December 6th, 2023 and December 13th, 2023 be adopted as printed. Could I have a mover, please, and a second? Councillor Arts and Councillor Cates. I was looking at both of you and said, I have to pick one go first. So all in favor of that? And that is carried. Thank you. Okay. Our consent agenda has a whole whack, not quite a dozen. We've got 10 items there. Is there anything here that anyone would like to comment on, ask about? Nope. Okay. In that case, the motion before us is that consent items 6.1 through 6.10 listed on the December 2023 agenda be adopted as recommended. Councillor Burrs and Councillor Shipley, all in favor? And that is carried. Okay, moving on to staff reports. The first thing we have tonight is the 2024 budget. Tiffany Farrell, our Director of Corporate Services and the Treasurer, is going to provide an overview. The floor is yours when you're ready, Tiffany.
So thank you, through Mary Judy. So before you is our 2024 draft budget. So as many of you know, this process starts really early in the year, and thank you to the budget working committee for their efforts this year as we put together this budget over this fall. Attached to this report is the budget changes. So when we presented the budget back in November 1st was when we presented the capital budget, and November 15th, the operating budget. Since that time, there has been some changes to the numbers included in the final budget document. So if you refer to the budget changes, attachment 1, that will outline all the changes for operating and all the changes for capital. Additionally, attached to this package is our draft budget book. The draft budget book outlines all of the issues facing the municipality and the challenges, as well as the goals tying into our strategic plan for the next year and how we're going to be accomplishing those as that ties into our 2024 budget. It's a great read. It will be posted on our website. The final document will be posted in January. So please take some time and go through that in detail when you have some time. Finally, third attachment is our debt capacity calculation. This is a requirement under the Act when we talk about debt borrowing. In the 2024 budget, we identified 2 projects that will be funded through debt borrowing. That borrowing is not anticipated to occur until 2025 or 2026. However, these calculations need to be included when Council makes its decision to pass the 2024 budget. This document for the debt capacity outlines the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing's requirement for the 25% of net revenues that's allowed for debt borrowing. So you'll see here that the municipality does have significant amount of room and can fund those two projects with debt without an issue at this time. At this time, I'm just going to open it up to council for your questions on the 2023 budget.
Thank you for that, Tiffany. I'll look to council then. Questions, comments? Go ahead, Councillor Shipley.
Thank you, Member. Tiffany, just those reserve funds, we draw a number in. It's happened for a few years now. I understand if the capital doesn't get done, it goes back into next year. Is there going to come a point where the reserve funds are going to be catch up with all the spending?
Yeah, so for you, Mayor Dweet, that's a good question. So if you are looking for the budget book this year, you'll notice that we are transferring out about $14 million more out of reserves than we're transferring in. This is an issue as we're using more money than obviously we're putting into our savings, our reserve funds. And this will catch up to us. If we continue to spend at this rate on our capital projects by only utilizing those reserve funds, and with the decrease in the grants that we've been getting, I would anticipate that our reserve funds could be drawn up within 8 years. However, that is just an estimate. We do have some other financial strategies in place in order to ensure that the funding, we can balance that funding, including debt, as well as any other grant opportunities that staff are constantly applying for. But at this point, just to answer the question, it is about 8 years if that 14 million stays as what we're transferring out more than transferring in.
Well, Deputy.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but 3 or 4 years down the road, the capital expenditures drop way off. And if we were to continue putting money in the reserves at the current rate, then that would bring them back up significantly, wouldn't it?
So so that is a good point. It does look like our capital expenditures are dropping down in the next 5 years. However, I don't believe that will be the case. After last council meeting, when we looked at like the master servicing plans for water, wastewater, stormwater, and transportation, I know there are some larger projects that were not included in the budget in that forecast that will most likely be occurring. And I noticed that typically our 5-year capital, our 5th year is always a little bit lower than the other years. And I think that's just more planning and I think that's the departments are looking more at their asset management planned items versus other items that could be happening that add to that line. So yes, if the amounts that we're asking for capital declines, then we should be in a better position. So that is something that we have to look internally to make sure that our capital is in line with what we can afford.
Just to follow up to that, I realize we have a lot of capital expenditures coming up the road and infrastructure cost. But if we have to do that, and if we had to borrow that money, eventually that money will come back in DC charges and development and create more taxes. So it's kind of a balance, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's correct. So if we're looking at those growth-related items, we will have development charges. Development charges are one of the many sources of funding, especially for growth. However, it doesn't fully pay for it. There is normally a portion that the municipality has to pay, and especially if it relates to existing development. And we can also be looking at these debt strategies. So we can utilize our debt capacity in a strategic way in order to fund these capital projects for the municipality. And if we're funding things that relate to growth, the municipality will be growing into commercial, residential, or industrial, and that will increase the tax base down the line as well, which continues to increase that revenue. So it is a complicated altogether. So it isn't just as simple as one aspect of it. But yes, we are consistently looking for different financial strategies and to ensure that the budget is balanced and that we are using the money as strategically as possible.
I guess the only thing I'd add is too that you mentioned the assessment growth to the extent that we're looking at some of the work we're doing is to make sure that they're servicing for areas that we have potential for ultimately getting commercial enterprises to come and that kind of thing. That diversity in the tax rate will be very different. So, okay, is there anything else? Your physical look on your face, sir.
Through Madam Mayor, Tiffany. When you start, they say DCs will pay for this, DCs will pay for that, but the government's cutting back on DCs. And to be quite honest, I know industrial base is what we need. And we have to have so much housing, it's, like the government limit. But do we even come out ahead with growth in housing? Like when you figure out how much this costs and that costs, and it's just an observation. Thank you.
So the 3-year lead, that's a great question. I don't have the answer to. We are looking internally at doing some calculations on that. We do know that development charges and some of the changes in the recent bills to the Development Charge Act and what we can collect has posed some challenges to this municipality as well as many municipalities in Ontario. And so there is more funding coming from the tax base for that development than say in the past that just happened. And so yes, that will have some challenges as well. And when we look at that growth, the cost of growth to put the infrastructure in the ground and then finally getting the revenue back either through DCs or through like the different assessments. I can't answer if it's 100% covered by any means, but that is a great question that we can take internally and take a look at some of those numbers to present something to council in 2024.
Anything else? Okay, I don't see any hands. So the motion before us is that report CPS number 63, 2023 regarding 2024 budget. Draft booklet be received and that the council approve bylaw 2023 number 129 to adopt the current budgetary estimates for the year 2024 and further that council approve bylaw 2023 number 130 to establish a levy for the year 2024, to adopt the tax rates for 2024 and to provide for penalty and interest in default of payment and collection thereof. Is there a movement, please, and a second? Councillor Cates and Councillor Bruce, all in favor? And that is carried. Thank you, everyone. And I'll turn it over again to Tiffany to talk to us about the asset retirement obligation policy.
Thank you. So through Mayor Reed, so in front of you is the asset retirement obligation policy for council to approve. The purpose of this policy is to provide information on the new accounting standard section PS 3280 of the Public Sector Accounting Board, PSAB, which has come into effect for years beginning on or after April 1st, 2022. So for us, that's January 1st of 2023. So it will be effective for this year end, and it will be included in our financial statements in that we'll see next year for 2023. So in short, what an asset retirement obligation is it arises when there's a legal obligation to retire a tangible capital asset. This is something that when the retirement is defined as a removal of a capital asset from service, it includes sales transactions, asset abandonment, and or asset disposal. So these costs may include but are not limited to dismantling or remediation of the tangible capital asset. So there are specific situations that involve municipal assets. For our municipality, the largest list is asbestos within our buildings. And so what the municipality has done is we researched all of our assets that would fall under the asset retirement obligation. And we worked with consultants and all the departments were involved to ensure that those reviews of the buildings were done with respect to asbestos. So we had an approximate idea of where it was impacted and how much that would cost. There are a few other assets that the municipality has that were also impacted, such as the one underground fuel tank. So when that is dismantled, there is cost. We did review all of our bylaws, thanks to our clerk's team, to go through if there's any other obligations that we would be responsible for. And there was nothing specific that was brought up. So the point of this is to actually pass the policy. So endorsing the policy, and then the process will continue into 2024 as we value the additional asset retirement costs. These are then added to the value for that asset and they'll be amortized over time. For our municipality, it is not a material amount. However, it is good accounting practice that we are accounting for these at this time. And at this time, I will just open it up to any questions from council.
Thank you for that report, Tiffany. I'll look to council for questions. I don't see any hands. In that case, there's a motion before us that reports CPS 54/2023 asset retirement obligation policy be received and that the policy appended to the report CPS 54/2023 be approved. A mover, please, and a seconder. Deputy Mayor Brennan and Councillor Shipley, all in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Next up, the Director of Public Works and Engineering, Rob Piscadden, will provide an overview of the storm PDC cost sharing.
Great. Thank you, Madam Mayor and to Council. So this is something that we wanted to bring forward after some input from residents last summer. As you all know, we had planned to resurface some of the roads in the southeast quadrant of Ilderton. It's an area that is largely not serviced with individual storm services or storm sewer services to the individual lots. And there's been a number of complaints over the years, certainly since I've been here. I think many council members have heard it as well, due to the soil conditions in Ilderton and the lack of storm PDCs to the lots. That a number of people deal with drainage issues on their lots or water coming from neighbor's lot onto their property. So we postponed or we redid our asphalt schedule to do work elsewhere, resurfacing work, with the intent of pushing this off to 2024 in Ilderton to give time to be able to go back to residents and see who would be interested in having a PDC installed to their individual lot, either at full cost or partially subsidized or fully subsidized cost. So we went back and we kind of took an estimate as what we think we might get for uptake. We really don't have a handle, and I'm sure that the uptake from residents would vary largely depending on the cost. So what we're proposing is a 50-50 split with the residents. We had did some initial calculations as far as the cost of installing, what it would cost if we did the installation, and I believe we came out to around 9,000. And we looked at some costs from the Garden Ave storm sewer project where there were some PDCs installed there as well. So we've come up with a dollar value of $10,000 per service is about what we're expecting for a cost. So based on that, we budgeted $5,000 per service based on cost, 50-50 cost sharing, and have carried that in our stormwater maintenance operating budget for 2024. There are some advantages to this, certainly. One, just dealing with drainage on the lots. We know that there's also a concern of cross connection in Ilderton with the sanitary sewers. That's very difficult to police, but we've certainly heard stories of that. This would give those properties that may have a cross connection the ability to discharge directly to the storm sewer system instead of being connected, I'll say illegally connected to the sanitary sewer system. So we're looking for council's input and approval for this cost sharing approach. I'll happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This any question, comment? I'll start with Councillor Bears. It's your hand is over, Councillor.
Just a comment. I think it's a good idea. This has been an issue for years. $10,000 is an obstacle to a lot of people, so I think we should step up and pay half of it. They still have to pay they still have to pay at the property line and put up their house, but it gives them an incentive to do it, and we want them to. That's it.
Councillor Earth?
I know there's some sort of goofy past subdivision agreements where some properties are kind of dumping on other ones. It'd be really nice if they could be really encouraged to clean that up. And if we do this, you know, when we get a big storm, it's going into the sewage treatment plant because you can see the statistics where it goes up. If we rewrite a lot of this, can we get some of that from DCs because we're actually increasing the capacity of the sewage plant for further expansion by rerouting the stormwater?
That's my Mayor to Council. I think I see where you're going with that, but I would say no. Those would be illegal connections if they're connected to the sanitary system right now. They shouldn't be there. Not to say that we don't see some farm cross connections that shouldn't be present, but there's also part of that just comes from holes like cracks in manholes or manhole lids, groundwater infiltration into the pipes. So it's certainly not all connections from houses. And the other thing I just maybe point to Councilor Bursch's comment too. Yes, the residents will still have a cost to take the connection from property line to their house, but that would be a less expensive portion because they're not dealing with asphalt replacement, dealing with crossing utilities, whatnot. So.
Anyone else? I wanted to ask, just for argument's sake, every other house does it and every other house doesn't. If the houses are sold, is there a way of people, like, how will people know that they're hooked up or not? Is there a way of knowing that when you're purchasing? Are there any questions about, is there a duty to inform people because we're making it optional for people as opposed to everyone must do it, we'll phase in the payments for you on your bill? Or so if we're not asking for 100% uptake, could you talk to that in general or?
Yeah, certainly. So we would add all the service locations to our infrastructure, asset management database. So we could certainly let people know if they have it in the future. It would be up to the property owners whether they disclose that at that point of sale. I would say it's a good thing to have, and they should disclose it so that next residents know it's there. But
so bottom line, no exposure for the municipality in case someone floods and said, I thought it was, everyone else is, and I don't know if I am or not. Okay, thank you very much. If there are no other questions, then we do have a motion before us. And that is the council received report PWE 56/2023 regarding storm PDC cost sharing. And the council approved the cost sharing of storm PDCs at 50% of the installation costs to the property line as identified in the report PWE 56/2023. Is there a mover, please? Councillor Burrows and seconder. Councillor Cates, all in favor? And that's carried. Thank you for that report. And we'll move on to committee of adjustment. The motion before us is that council adjourn the regular meeting at 5:53 p.m. in order to sit as a committee of adjustment under section 45 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended to consider the minor variance application listed on the December 20th, 2023 council agenda. So members of the public that wish to receive further notification on any of the minor variance applications that are being considered this evening, I ask that you please send an email to planning@middlesexcenter.ca requesting further notification. Please be advised that comments expressed in written materials presented are a matter of public record. If you have any questions on the applications being heard, we ask that you direct those to the appropriate planner on file. Members of the public that have requested to speak will be given a maximum of 10 minutes to address the committee and provide comments on the applications. In keeping with our procedural bylaw and our zone policy, I would remind all of our meeting participants to use respectful language and uphold our values of cooperation, trust, and openness. There is an order of proceeding, and that is as follows. The chair, that is myself, I'll ask the planner to explain the purpose and of the application and hearing and to present the staff report. And then the applicant or the agent has an opportunity to speak to the application. Third, the public who are registered to speak or are in attendance will be asked for their comments. Please state your name so that it can be noted in the meeting minutes. Municipal clerk or planner will note additional comments that have been received from circulated agencies and the public not included in the planning report. And then the committee will have a chance to ask questions of the applicant and or staff. And finally, I'll ask that we then consider motions regarding the applications. And that proceeding is the same for, well, we only have one, so. Okay, so the item that we have in front of us is the application for minor variance file number A23/2023. And I'll start with Marion Cabral, the county planner, who is in attendance to provide an overview of the staff report. Here's yours when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair, and through to the rest of the committee. The purpose of this application is to provide the committee with the recommendation for minor variance file A23/2023 for blocks 32 and 33 on Keeler Hill Crescent in Kamoka. The applicant requests to seek relief from the zoning bylaw as it relates to the minimum front yard setback and the rear yard setback of the urban residential first density during the UR1 zone. Specifically, the applicant requests the reduction in the front yard setback from 6 meters to 4.5 meters, specifically for the dwelling that excludes the garage, and the reduction in the rear yard setback from 8 meters to 7 meters. This property is located on the west side, east side of Cable Hill Crescent and is surrounded by existing single detached dwellings. The two blocks were formerly separate and undersized, and they were considered as part of future development within the plan of subdivision. Since then, they have been consolidated into one block for development with a frontage of approximately 36.5 meters and a total area of 819 square meters. The lands are designated residential and zoned urban residential first density. Notice of the application was circulated to members of the public, agencies, and staff. At the time of writing my report, staff did not receive any comments from members of the public. However, we have since received letters that I understand have been shared with members of the committee. The summary of some of the comments from members of the public that say opposition to the requested variances for reasons such as the variance will change the character of the area. There's concerns for the existing trees on the property. The variance is not appropriate for the land, and the size and distance from the sidewalk and road are incompatible with the rest of the built form in the neighborhood. Staff understands that council has been again provided with these letters, as well as one that was received later this afternoon. Again, Public Works and Engineering did identify that they had no concerns with the dwelling located closer to the front lot line. However, they do request that we clarify and confirm through a condition that the garage does need to be set back at minimum 6 meters from the property line. Planning staff did review the application against the floor test of a minor variance and determined that the requests are minor in nature due to the unique shape of this lot. It does have a very wide frontage and a shallow depth. The reduced setback will provide sufficient distance from the right-of-way and not significantly reduce visibility of pedestrians or vehicles traveling along K-Rail Crescent. Further, the front yard setback will only apply to the dwelling, and staff have added that condition to the minor variance recommendation. Further, and with regard to the rear yard setback, again, this is a shallow lot, and the 1 meter reduction will not significantly reduce the amount of private amenity space on the property. Additionally, the reduced setback is to the property lines and not, a dwelling will still be set back several meters from the established rear building line relative to other neighboring properties. Staff are satisfied that the requested variance is minor and does meet the floor test of a minor variance, and recommend that it can be granted subject to the conditions in the staff report. And this opinion was provided prior to public meeting and prior to receiving all comments from members of the public. The committee should take that into consideration when making a decision on this application. Thank you, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for your report. Mr. Craig Linton, who's the applicant, is here this evening to answer questions if they require answers down the road. So now we have. Okay, so we do have a member of the public who's registered to speak virtually. Kelly, when you're ready. Jog back and forth. There she is. Hello, Kelly, when you're ready, I'll turn my microphone off and then you can make your remarks.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, so I apologize. I'm in my vehicle at a function for my children. We received notification of this on Monday. I spoke with James and he assured me that these letters were sent out on the 7th. He also assured me that, he's following the 10 days. However, with it being so busy with Christmas, none of our neighbors had found out about it until Monday. And every person that has heard about it in our group is against this. I am happy if council gives me more time to go around to get a petition of every single neighbor on Prince and Caver Hill. I know several of my neighbors have written expressing it isn't a minor variance in the sense that it's going to be 1.5 meters set forward. It's in the middle of a well-established neighborhood. And I want to be clear, no one's against the building of a property. That's what it's there for, but follow along with the guidelines that are set out that every other house in our neighborhood has. After speaking with real estate agents that are the biggest around, they have assured us that our property values will go down that border this particular property. Additionally, my property borders this property, and I'm in my backyard, and now I'm going to have a 2-story home that is a double wide lot looking into my yard that much closer to me. It doesn't go with the aesthetic of the neighborhood. There is a lot, like I'm sure you can see the letters, and I apologize because I'm in the dark outside talking to you all, but I wrote a letter tonight. James assured me you all got it, as I well know a bunch of other neighbors wrote. And that's all I have to say. Sorry.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. I look to members of the public who would like to have an opportunity to address council as well, or the committee. I think, is there anyone who wanted to speak? I was assuming that you were here to speak. Oh, no? Okay. If there's no one else, then it is the rep. You will now speak. Yeah. So I'm looking for members of the public who want to speak. If you want to speak, you should come forward. No, here, and then I'll turn mine off, and then you push the button, and then you have 10 minutes to present your remarks.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Joe Lynch, and I live right across the street from the lot that we are speaking about. And so I just wanted to kind of see the plan. So because I'm a visual person and just talking to me about, being set back and this kind of thing, I'd like to actually see the plan. Like, where is the garage going to go? How far out is it? Is there going to be a straight sight line from the road looking down at the street? And everything that sort of Kelly talked about is some of my concerns as well.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, there's no one else. Then any circulations? No.
Chair, I would just add, as a player spoke to in Europe, we have received some additional comments and feedback today from members of the public, and those have been provided to committee members for that feedback. So I just thought I would add that comment. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments, and then I'll look to the committee then. Questions of the applicant and or staff? So, Kate's, what is yours?
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. I have a variety of things that I'd like to say. First of all, I want you all to know that I have all of your comments and I've read them more than once. And I think first what I want to do, I feel that there's a misconception on the process and what is going on. So I want to take a minute to kind of explain this to you or provide some input to you. Marion, thank you for your report. She has done the detailed report on what is happening. When somebody wants to, such as this, a developer has this that they want to do, and they go to the planning department and it goes through its processes, and then it once that's finished, then it has a certain period of time to come to council. So this didn't just start happening a few weeks ago. And as Marion said, this was already on the original plan of subdivision, these two lots. So as far as Joe, your comment about seeing the detail, it was on the report that it had a detailed drawing. And just to clarify for some points in various letters, the front yard setback, which I do better in feet, the front yard setback is 5 feet. It'll be 5 feet closer than normal, but not the garage. So it's only the house portion, and the garage will jut back. The side yard, there is no change on the side yard. So it's not going to be any closer to everybody's house than it would be if anybody else in the neighborhood. And then as far as the rear goes, it's 3 feet. So 3 feet shorter. Now, some people have talked about this being a massive, gigantic house, etc., and following the rules that they all had to follow. Well, it is following those. As far as I can see, everybody has a lot coverage, and this has. The maximum is 35% lot coverage. This house is falling in at 34.8%. So it's within the normal lot coverage. If it wasn't, that also would be on tonight as, I don't know, maybe a zoning change or maybe a variance that they would ask for more. These kinds of things actually come to council all the time. So although it feels massive for your area, this is pretty standard, and Marion has laid out all the points of how this meets the Planning Act. And as a side note, I too am a real estate agent. I wasn't going to bring this up tonight, but having somebody commented that, and this is not going to hurt your property value. That's just not even fair. So the other part of this is that when somebody comes to council with an objection, it's not just the fact that you object. You have to have some planning-based input on why you object. You know, fine, you don't want to have the dump truck and construction traffic, but neither did the people that live at the front of the subdivision that have been there for years when your house was built. And so it's a give and take on all of that. The other thing is that again, in no particular order, the other thing is that we all have to follow the planning guidelines. There's a provincial policy plan, there's a Middlesex County plan, there's a Middlesex Centre plan, and all of those things are laid out. And that's what Marion's report is about, is how that meets all of this. So as a side note, let's just say, for example, that tonight we all said, no way, those people don't want it to happen on their street. Let's all vote no. Well, then the developer is going to go to the Ontario Land Tribunal, and the Ontario Land Tribunal is going to look at this at taxpayer cost and for lawyers, and they're going to look at it and they're going to say, why did you say no? The planner gave you a full report that tells you why this meets the criteria, and they're just going to grant in favor of the developer. So it's not as simple as just saying, let's all go there tonight and say no, or sign a petition, those kinds of things. Again, it has to be a planning-based input that's provided, and argue on the merits of planning. The other thing, just let me look quickly here. The other thing that I wanted to point out to you, I understand it's suddenly coming to your area. There's other areas in Kamoka-Kilworth as your Ward 4 councillor. There's other areas that have this exact same scenario going on. One, for example, has the possibility of 55 condos suddenly plopping right in the neighborhood. It's a big thing. But I don't think that my whole entire spiel would be right if I didn't say to you, you need to Google and understand Bill 23, Bill 109, more homes built faster, 1.5 million homes built over the next few years. There's mandates and it's for infill and intensification. So partly it's like, thank you for not trying to fit 2 houses on there. Thank you for not putting in a row of townhouses or a duplex, because that's what it could have been, especially based on all that has gone on with the provincial government mandating all of these things. I don't know, I was going to, just say a little bit, I was a little bit disheartened at some of the non-kindness of some of the emails. It's very hard to sit here and do this job, and when people, want you to consider something, but you're kind of attacked by it, it's not easy. So, just as a side note for the future. The other thing, as far as a variance goes, everybody has the right to apply for a variance, and maybe even multiple times, however many you want. And the lot coverage, just to explain a little bit to that, you have a certain percentage that you're allowed to have in your area. It's anything covered. So if you wanted to put a big covered deck on your property, it would come as part of the lot coverage. And if you've already exceeded what you have, you'd apply for a minor variance. You want to build a big shed, lot coverage. So just to try to explain to you that some of these things are minor in nature, and they are everyday things. Every once a month we have a planning meeting, and we always have things of this nature that are going on. And I do agree on the trees, the big huge trees that are there. They are on the neighbor's property, and so here's hoping is you're here to maybe we can make sure that extra care is taken to protect those trees that are there. I think that would be good. I think that is, I think that's all that I wanted to add. So just know that we did hear you, and there was lots of things considered. But again, reading Marion's report in detail is really going to help you to understand the planning items and what it is that we have to look for in this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cates. Is there anyone else? I think that was pretty comprehensive. Thank you. Okay, in that case, since there's nothing else, there is a motion before us. And that motion is that minor variance application A23, 2023, filed by Pemmican Development Corporation for relief from the comprehensive zoning bylaw in order to establish a minimum front yard setback of 4.5 meters and a minimum rear yard setback of 7 meters, whereas the zoning bylaw requires the minimum front yard setback of 6 meters and a minimum rear yard setback of 8 meters for property legally described as 33M 673 in the municipality of Middlesex Centre, County of Middlesex, be granted following conditions. That an attached garage maintain a minimum front yard setback of 6 meters, that is 19.7 feet, where a driveway is proposed in the front yard, and that one of the two servicing connections for blocks 32 and 33 are removed to the satisfaction of the municipality. And further, that the reasons for granting the minor variance application A23, 2023 are that the request complies with the general intent and purpose of Middlesex Centre's official plan and zoning bylaw. The request is minor in nature, and the request represents appropriate development on the subject property. Could I have a mover, please, in a second? Councillor Arts and Councillor Cates, all in favor? That's carried. Okay, we have to move now into public meetings. So we have a motion that the Committee of Adjustment adjourn at 6:14 p.m. and Council resume the regular meeting, and that Council move into public meetings and still 6:14 p.m. pursuant to the Planning Act, RS 1990, as amended, to consider the applications listed on the December 20th, 23 council agenda. A mover, please. Councillor Shipley and Councillor Cates, thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Okay. The order of proceedings is the same. If you'd sorry.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, they're the same. I'll be reading them out so there won't be any surprises. So again, you can ask that information is mailed to you, and that address is planning@middlesexcentre.ca. And again, everything is a matter of public record. If you have questions on the applications, you can direct those to the appropriate planner on the file. And again, 10 minutes to make your comments and address council. And the order of proceeding is exactly the same. We'll just take a break here for. Okay, we're back. So we're about to move on to item 9.1, which is a consent application for 14387 Overton Road. And we have Dan Fitzgerald, county planner, who comes from the county here to provide an overview of the report. The floor is yours when you're ready, Dan.
Through the chair, thanks, Madam Mayor and members of council. The purpose and effect of this application is to dispose of a house which has been deemed surplus to a farm operation through a consolidation by the owner. The applicant is requesting to sever the existing dwelling on the lands, which is requesting a severance with a lot that has a frontage of approximately 10 meters on Ilderton Road in an area overall of approximately 4.99 acres, 5 acres. So just as a note to council, this was previously deferred at the last public meeting being November 15th, 2023. The applicant did request a deferral at that meeting to further review the applicable policy and the provincial policy statement. Since that time, I have had additional discussions with them. And the only new information that has been shared with the municipality is essentially the approximate locations of the septic bed, as well as the well on the lands. And I would note that as per their drawing, it is both within the boundary of the requested lot size. So the subject lands currently contain an existing single detached dwelling, as well as a detached accessory structure, which is kind of located towards, I guess, the west in this case. The lands are serviced privately with an individual well and septic bed. It is located in an agricultural area, and it's generally surrounded by large agricultural operations, which are in crop production, as well as a few single detached dwelling lots. It is regulated by the Upper Thames Conservation Authority and does contain a natural heritage feature as well as a significant woodland, as identified in Middlesex, in the Middlesex Natural Heritage System Study. It's located on the south side of the Overton Road in Richmond, on the southeast side of the intersection, the aforementioned roads. It's designated agricultural in the county official plan as well as Middlesex Center's official plan, and it is zoned agricultural A1 zone in the comprehensive zoning bylaw. So I have reviewed the application against the PPS, the county official plan, as well as Middlesex Center's official plan. Through my review, I did find that the proposed severance generally is not considered consistent with the provincial policy statement, and the proposal does not conform to the county's official plan or Middlesex Center's official plan. And my primary concern in this case lies with the requested lot size for the severance. The estate dwelling constructed on the lands removed a significant portion of farmland through its placement on the lands, which was a decision of the former homeowner at that time. So permitting these severances, into the future does jeopardize our ability to preserve and protect farmland by encouraging similar formats of development to occur. I would also note that we did receive correspondence from the Thames River Conservation Authority, who essentially requested a deferral indefinitely on the application, given that it doesn't necessarily meet their own internal policies. That being, they don't support the fragmentation of regulated lands as well as natural heritage features. So given the above, I am recommending the consent application B 2023 be denied, and I'm here for any questions that council may have. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for that presentation. I'll look to the applicant. We have Jack Souza, he's the applicant, and he'll be attending virtually to comment on the application. Are you there, Jack? There you are. The floor is yours when you're ready.
Sorry about that. Just hooking up here. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jack Souza. I'm a lawyer. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Fari Farming Corporation. At the risk of repeating some of what Mr. Fitzgerald said, I'll say this, or I'd like to suggest this to you. Firstly, the application should be evaluated on its own merits. It should be looked at specifically with respect to the uniqueness of this property. The residence, as you know, is set back significantly from Milderton Road. But please appreciate that this, and I do appreciate that this results in requiring significantly more land in relation to the severance to facilitate the front yard setback. But it is unique in this sense that different than what you might sometimes see in these severances. It's really tucked away along this environmental area and the woodlot. It's not a wide, it's a narrow front yard, and it's very relatively narrow, and the driveway is tucked along this woodlot, and the house is adjacent to the woodlot as well. It's as close as you can get to the woodlot as would be reasonably possible in these circumstances. And the woodlot itself is really the divider of the adjacent farm parcels. So it is unique in my view in that regard. When I look at this in terms of the following, and this is where Mr. Fitzgerald and I may disagree slightly. I believe it is consistent with the provincial policy statement, the County of Middlesex official plan, and the Municipality of Middlesex Center's official plan as well. I note this. The provincial policy statement, section 2.3.4.1 sub C, provides that a residence surplus to a farming operation may be permitted provided that the new lot is limited in size to accommodate the residence and sewage and water services, and the new residential dwellings are prohibited on the remnant parcel created by the severance. So in this case, there's no question that the severance has been limited in its size to only capture the house and private services, i.e. the septic and the water well. The remainder of the lands, it will remain as the woodlot and the crop production area of these lands. So in our view, the proposed severance is consistent with the provincial policy statement. In terms of the County of Middlesex official plan, I think the applicable section is 2.3.9 that sets out the applicable agricultural policies to the severance and requires that consents be in accordance with the policies set out in section 4.5.3.4 which provides that consents may be permitted if the residence was constructed at least 10 years ago. And the new lot is again, similar to the policy, the provincial policy statement is limited to a minimum size to accommodate the residential use. And any new residential dwellings are prohibited on the vacant remnant parcel of farmland. In my view, again, with respect, the proposed severance meets this policy in my understanding. It conforms to the county's policy. And then with respect to the Middlesex Center official plan, no question that pursuant to 10.3.2.1 sub D, this is a residence surplus to a farming operation as a result of farming consolidation. It does, there was a request to clarify where the septic system is located. We have provided that. Where the water well is located, it's in the severed lands that are being proposed. And in any event, it will be and can be a condition of the severance. Again, similarly, the size of the severance has been specifically limited to only include the residents. These lands are, the farmlands are only divided by this woodlot. And again, I reiterate that this is all tucked along this woodlot, the front yard and the residence. You'll see that we're minimizing the rear yard. It's not disturbing any of the existing farming areas of this property. There are no other consents before the municipality at this time. Currently, in our view, there is no risk here in these particular circumstances that would have that would exacerbate the potential loss of prime agricultural lands for residential purposes that is currently before the municipality. And I don't see how this in any way offends any of those policies. It's consistent with the provincial policy statement, the County of Middlesex official plan, and the municipality's official plan. It doesn't derogate from that. And I think for all those reasons, in these circumstances, I would ask that you please consider granting this severance.
Thank you for the presentation. Are the members of the public? Yes, if you'd come forward, and then I'm going to turn off again, just like last time, and Megan's going to get all that set up, so it will you'll be heard.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sheila Wilson. That's it, just my name? You want to know where I live? Oh, good. In listening to Mr. Souza's presentation, I tend to agree with some of what he's indicating. And he very strategically pointed out to specific sections of the various policies. But the question that I'd like to ask is, does the proposed severance conform to the vision for the municipality of Middlesex Center? And it's not necessarily this step that I'm so concerned about. And I don't know how to say this in reference to your comments about kindness, and I'm trying to be kind, but the applicant's reputation and history of unethical business practices leaves me skeptical about this application. So it's like playing a game of chess. It's not the first move, it's maybe the third or fourth move. So I've been reassured by the planning department that the potential of further severance of the remaining 90 acres of farmland could not happen. But money talks. I don't know how else to say that, and I'm just being very transparent. And money does talk, and this applicant has a lot of money. I do not believe that the proposed severance does conform to the vision of Middlesex Centre's municipality or the provincial policy statement, the Middlesex Centre official plan, or the Planning Act. I'm not going to reference the specific items within those plans that I just outlined. And I think the council needs to balance between individual property owner and the wide interest of the whole community. And I think in this case, this proposal does not meet the interests of the community of where this severance has been requested. So I will not go into further specifics other than I am not in agreement with this proposed severance based on the fact that it does not conform to the provincial policy statement, the Middlesex Centre official plan, the Planning Act. Because if you reference the vision that's outlined in the official plan, it states that Middlesex Centre is a community of urban and rural communities, and we all know that, woven together by the strength of our agricultural base, community spirit, and positive vision. And I believe that, as I indicated previous, that it's not necessarily this severance that I'm concerned about, but it's future severance of the remaining 90 acres of farmland that potentially could be severed, although I've been given assurance that that can happen. But as I've indicated earlier and previously, money talks, and I'm very skeptical about this application. Thank you.
Okay, there are no other members present and no one online. Okay, so in that case, I can look to council now. If anyone has questions, I'll start with Deputy Mayor Brennan.
Not so much a question, Madam Mayor, but over the last couple of years, we have worked very hard to keep severances at a bare minimum. And we've seen in the past where we've turned some down because we felt the properties just weren't severable. We've had some that came to us and we said no, and they come back with a 1 acre severance. I know in the last 2 or 3 months, we've had possibly 6 or 7 come to us all at 1 acre. And I think that's reasonable. I think we made that perfectly clear to people that that's what we wanted. Is small severances of 1 acre, slightly over that, but a 4.55 acre lot, I can't agree with. No way I agree with. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Councillor Cates, go ahead.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. I agree with Deputy Mayor Brennan. That was my words exactly, my thoughts exactly, was the ones that we've turned down just even in the last few months. That nearly 5 acres is definitely much larger than anything else. And I think that we also have to keep the input from Upper Thames in mind, asking that this be deferred indefinitely. It is a unique situation, and maybe makes it a situation where it's just not a severable piece of property. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay, I don't see any hands. In that case, we do have a motion before us. That would be that the consent application be 2023, filed by Jack Souza on behalf of Fari Farming Corporation in order to sever a residence surplus to a farm operation as a result of consolidation from a lot legally described as Pot Lot 16, London concession number 10 in the municipality of Middlesex Centre, County of Middlesex, and is municipally known as 14387 Ilderton Road be denied. And further, that the reasons for denying the consent application B20-2023 include the proposal is not consistent with the provincial policy statement, and the proposal does not conform to the County of Middlesex official plan and the Middlesex Centre official plan. Mr. Mover, Deputy Mayor Brennan, and Councillor Cates, all in favor? And that is carried. Okay, and now, oops. We need to rise from our public meetings. The motion before us is that the public meetings adjourn at 6:36 p.m. and council resumes the regular meeting. Mover, please, and the seconder. Councillor Shipley and Councillor Arts, all in favor? And that's carried. Okay, the NLOs is a motion. There are 4 items under the correspondence tab. Is there anything here that anyone wants to speak of? Any board members or no? Okay. The motion then is that the correspondence items number 12.1 through 12.4 listed on the December 2023 council meeting agenda be received as information. Do I have a mover, please, and a seconder? Councillor Cates and Councillor Arts, thank you very much. All in favor? And that is carried. Deputy, do you have a report for us?
I do have a report from the December County Council meeting. It was a short meeting. Excuse me. It was our new warden's first meeting, but I'll say that. Middlesex OP 62 was passed. There's a couple of objections from different people, but it passed, so that's off and running. The cardiac monitor replacement for the ambulance service, they've done a 30-month lease at $30,000 per month for a total payment of $1.474 million. But that includes all the repairs and maintenance on these equipment and refrigerators and that. So they are a very important piece of equipment and well used. The roads trade show through his game, his department and the road show that was at the Statue of Cadillac. Donated $9,500 to Stratford Hospital, $2,500 to the Asacre Food Bank, $2,500 to the St. Vincent St. Paul Banquet, $2,500 to the Stratford Salvation Army, and $9,500 for Toys for Tots at the Dorchester Food Bank. So we congratulate them for those donations. And our next meeting will be January 11th. Thank you.
And thank you, Deputy. If there's nothing else, then we have to move into closed session now. And the motion before us is that the council, the municipality Middlesex Centre, adjourn to closed session at 6:39. Pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended to discuss the following matters. Under section 239(2)(e), litigation or potential litigation including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board. And that would be the OTL update. Under section 2.1, a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relations information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which, if disclosed, could reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of a person, group of persons, or organization. And this is municipal access agreement. And under 2K, a position plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board, and that would be economic development opportunity word 4. So we'll wait till we stream and then we'll move on. Oh, sorry, moving seconder. Basic. Councillor Shipley and Councillor Cates, all in favor? Okay.
And we'll take